All right, it's 11:01, so we can get started. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah, and I'm on the marketing team here at Northland. And I wanted to welcome you to today's webinar. This morning, we'll be talking about our unified communication solution, Business Unlimited, and how it can help you with your hybrid workforce. A few things to go over quick before we get started. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A box and also a chat box. So if at any point in time you have a question, you can just throw them into there and we'll make sure to get those answered. This morning, we have Bryan Grimm with us from Metaswitch. We've had a long-standing and trusted partnership with Metaswitch that started back in 2007 that provided our customers with traditional voice services. And then in 2017, we enabled our hosted PBX licenses to provide businesses with what we know now as Business Unlimited. So with that, I'll hand it over to Bryan and he can get started.
Great, thank you. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Perfect. Sarah, can you confirm you can see that okay?
Yep.
Great. I have to hand it to me and Sarah. We're two of the people that have our LinkedIn profile or our headshots that look exactly like us. I was looking at us as we were showing our video. We look just like our headshots. So that's kudos to us for keeping those up to date, Sarah. So thanks for joining us today. My name is Bryan Grimm, like Sarah said. I've been with Metaswitch for about 9 years and supporting Northland almost the entire time, working with them on different projects from a support role from Metaswitch. I'm not part of the account team, I'm part of the marketing organization, but we're always working with Northland to help you all, their customers, and the small to mid-sized businesses in their footprint. I'd just like to kind of level set about who Metaswitch is, and we are the underlying provider. In terms of global market share, we're the #2 provider of UCaaS services to CSPs, of which Northland is a CSP. So that is a service provider. We only distribute through service providers like Northland. We've got around 300 customers that are deploying unified communication services on our network throughout the world. We've got around 23 million business lines that have currently been deployed, and the typical growth rate in the industry is around 18 to 20%, and our customers are much more successful than that with around a 25% growth rate. So a testament to our providers like Northland and how well they work with you all in their footprints. So the idea of this webinar is to talk a little bit about the hybrid workforce. And there's a few slides that I want to show you regarding some of the trends that we've seen throughout the pandemic, and it's actually really good because we're starting to see a lot of data coming out after the pandemic has kind of settled down, and the initial rush to get workers out of the office has kind of subsided. 3 different data points that I want to present to you today are that your employees when Microsoft polled employees in businesses, 73% of those employees want to remain flexible. Now, as business decision makers, you might have different motivations to get them back into the office. However, it's definitely a trend that we need to observe in order to maintain employees and maintain employee satisfaction and happiness and retain your employees. It's going to become a factor in the way employees determine whether they want to stay with an employee or an employer, or if they want to move, is the flexibility that employer gives them. Another data point is that of businesses like you all, 85% of you have a plan to bring to have at least 25% of your workforce able to work remotely at any given time. So again, this is a data point that was presented and surveyed during COVID. So again, it points to the fact that remote working is here to stay, and as businesses, we need to plan how to comply with our workforce. And then the last is, again, goes to employee satisfaction, is that despite that first statistic that I said with the 73%, there is an element of employees that miss that in-person work and in-person collaboration with their coworkers. So really, when we take a look at that 73% and the 67%, it points to the fact that they want flexibility, but they want the ability to come into the office and collaborate with their coworkers, which really points to what we're calling the hybrid workforce. Hybrid meaning some of the time at home or remotely, and then other times in the office within those kind of confines of the business. We're going to kick it to a poll real quickly and just kind of judge where you are at this state regarding the impact that COVID has had on your investment in technology. So if everybody can take a quick second to answer that poll that just popped up, that would be great. Okay, we can probably stop it there. We've got 80% that have responded, and no surprise at all with this. I believe Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella basically had a quote that was used throughout the industry about 10 years worth of uh, digital transformation happened in the span of 2 months when COVID first happened. So COVID has definitely accelerated all of our technology investments. Now, as we continue on, we want to take a look at that. And again, the numbers here were even higher than the Frost and Sullivan report, which said that 50% of businesses accelerated their technology versus a split between the other two, which were no impact or slow down the pace. Now, a couple of the key drivers for that digital transformation and some of the customer facing or employee facing services that you all took and invested in throughout this were things like collaboration. So when we take a look at collaboration, there was around 30% of businesses that had deployed some form of collaboration. That shot up to over 90% of businesses have some sort of a collaboration solution. So when we think about Northland and we think about Business Unlimited, there's a solution called MaxUC meeting, and that meeting element is that collaboration piece. Now, another growth area was cloud-based telephony. So when we talk about cloud-based telephony, we're talking about all of the brains to your phone system being located in the service provider's network rather than on premises inside your brick and mortar, that you have potentially an IT person that kind of maintains and controls, or you pay a third party to maintain and control that. So we're talking about hosted PBX or hosted UC when we talk about that cloud-based telephony. And then we get into a little bit more data services with cloud platforms, cloud infrastructure, and cloud software. But the other piece to it that experienced very high growth, which is that black bar there, is the mobility and being able to connect mobile. And again, this really, the demonstration point here was when a lot of workers went home, they didn't take their physical phones with them. They took mobile devices. The businesses like yourselves allowed them to connect or use their mobile device. And platforms like cloud-based telephony or Business Unlimited gives you the ability to utilize somebody's personal owned mobile device, load a client on that, and still become part of that enterprise phone system for things like calling, instant messaging, presence. You can even uplift into a meeting like we're in right now. So again, impact was very substantial here. A lot of investment in technology and the specific applications that enabled the hybrid worker or during COVID, really the remote worker was solutions like collaboration, cloud-based telephony, and mobile connectivity when we're talking about voice services. Now, this is more of a forward-thinking slide, and this is the last data point that I'll share with you, is that businesses are really planning to have a large percentage of their workforce be remote for the long haul. So when we take a look at the slide or the data points on the left, we see that 42 and the 19, that's going to be our over 50% of employees. So really we're looking at around 62, 63% of all the workforce is going to be either fully remote with no physical offices or part-time. So we really need to take a look at our long-term plans and how we're going to serve our employees and also meet the needs of our business to stay connected and make sure all of our employees are connected with each other. Um, Now, if we take a look at kind of the before and after, really it should be of no surprise here is that before the pandemic, companies were starting to consider employees that were going to be over 25% away from the office. So that's that gray bar at the top. After COVID, again, it's around that 50% mark. Okay, so these are just a lot of different data sources. There was a Microsoft survey, there was an Analysis Mason survey, and then a Frost and Sullivan survey that all really pointed to the exact same thing, which is hybrid workforce is here to stay. Whatever solutions we put together to quickly adapt to our employees getting out of the office are going to need to become a little bit more substantiated and long term. And that's a little bit what we're here to talk to you about today. So as we moved employees outside of the brick and mortar, there was a few things that happened. Um, there was really four main negatives that happened with hybrid working is when we talk about siloed applications, really that starts to talk about things like, you know, islands really is what we're talking about. Specific applications that you might have that function as islands. You can also think about siloed workforces as well, with people not really having that connectivity that they used to by running into them in the hallway or being able to just pop by a desk or an office and chat. Um, when we talk about disjointed user experience, what we found is that when companies started to support their workers remote, they had multiple applications and tried multiple things in order to just keep their employees connected. So you might have one solution for your telephony, another solution for collaboration, another for instant messaging and presence. You might have to pay a third party for your CRM system. You might have to pay another party for other aspects of your customer management solutions. So it created a very disjointed experience where you had some employees on applications that were over the top, some employees that were VPNing in, and really it resulted in a high cost for you. So even though we kept our customers and our employees connected, it really started to drive up costs because we had a lot of redundancy that was created. You might be paying somebody to manage that in-house phone system, that old legacy on-prem system, but then you had to enter into an agreement with somebody for a cloud-based system at the same time. So really you're double paying for telephony. And it also introduced security and compliance risks. So as we layered on a lot of these solutions, in some cases we took note of the security risks, and again we pointed to things like VPNs, some other technology that allowed us to multi-factor authentication, those kind of things that allowed us to mitigate some of those risks. But again, as we add more and more applications over more and more networks that are like the one I'm on today, which is my personal home network, we created a lot of security risks and vulnerabilities that we need to address as we plan for that hybrid workforce in the future. Now, there's a lot of ways to attack the hybrid worker, and really you need to identify partners in this endeavor. Service providers like Northland represent a great opportunity because they represent a robust portfolio that allow them to address a lot of the challenges that we saw on the previous slide. Another piece is that they own their network, they own the experience on their network, and they can assist you as you start to mitigate some of those connectivity problems with the hybrid workforce and with bringing those workforces back into the office. They're also a trusted brand in the footprint, which is great. Again, we don't distribute directly to you all, the end user. We do that through service providers. All of our service providers do a great job because they're usually geographically located near you, with you, so that they understand the different complexities in your geographic footprint. And then they've got the delivery and execution expertise. So again, as we take all of those different applications that your employees might use, they're going to look at that kind of holistically, and all of our service providers do a great job determining the value of all of that put together and helping you deploy that. So again, that's why we choose to work through providers like Northland, and that's why they do such a great job in their footprint. Now, the specific solution that we're going to talk a little bit about today is what we call MaxUC, and it's part of the Business Unlimited solution that Sarah mentioned before. And MaxUC is really comprised of four main elements that serve the small business all the way through the enterprise. And those four solutions are hosted voice, or basic hosted telephony. Then we start to layer on features on top of that, which we call unified communications. So what takes a solution from hosted business to unified communications is really applications, instant messaging and presence, the ability to text via SMS. All of those contribute to take that cloud phone system and move it into the category of unified communications. Now, the next step is when we start to integrate things like collaboration, video, web conferencing, and sharing, which is the product that we're on today. And then the highest level is when we start to introduce things like cloud contact center, integrated ACD, and omni-channel support for your call centers. So this slide really builds from the bottom up, and we're going to talk about it from the bottom up in the next couple slides here. Now, I always put this slide up here because there's a lot of features that you don't need to talk about because they're what I would consider table stakes. And when we're talking about any hosted solution, it needs to do all of your basic PBX functionality, like call waiting, call park, call pickup, caller ID, hunting, find me, follow me. All of those you can do. And this just goes to show you these are a snapshot of some of the features that you can get with just the basic hosted PBX style service. And again, really what this particular product aims to do is take the intelligence of the phone system, move it off-prem, put it into Northland's network, which is where it's located today. It runs on the Metaswitch. These are just a snapshot of the features that it provides. You no longer have to have a phone system on premise that you have to manage or pay somebody else to manage. You can free up IT resources so that they can tackle some of the larger data-driven projects that most IT departments have to tackle these days. Now, when we start to layer in the additional functionality is you get all of these features. These are all the features that are provided by the network in the cloud, in the secure data center for Northland, or data centers, I should say, because it's geographically redundant. But you get a wide variety of what we call IP endpoints. And really the way you as a customer interact with these features is through the phones that you see up at the top right. There's a wide range of IP endpoints depending on the features, the screen size, the ability for a touch screen that you want. But again, that is your interaction with the service. Okay, so you pick up, you dial just like you do any other phone system. But again, instead of having that telephony located in a phone closet in your building, it's located in Northland's secure data center. Okay, and then these endpoints basically allow you to interact with that service just like you would any other phone service. Now, some additional functionality that you may have not had before is what we call COM Portal. And COM Portal is the web-based portal. So typically with a premises-based phone system, you don't have a web portal. Maybe your administrator can log in and do some basic functionality, or if they've gone through training with their provider, if it's a Mitel system or an NEC or a Avaya or Nortel or one of the Cisco, sometimes your IT staff has gone through training, but if not, there's typically no web portal. But with this service and with the Metaswitch service, every release that we have, it trickles down all the way through the phones, all the way through the web portal, so you're always up to date. And you can grant your employees access to it if you want to, or you can just maintain what we call BG admin status, which is 1 or 2 or 3 designees in your business that would administer the system for everybody else. Typical functionality that you can do from the web portal are things like, I can, as a user, I can change my call forwarding functions, I can look at my voicemails, I can forward voicemails, I can set my status, lots of different things in the portal. I can change how I want anonymous calls handled. I can, again, lots of functionality in there. And then we get into what we call value-added services, or you could think of them as a la carte services. These are all things that you can add, and you can front your entire phone system with an auto attendant. You can have integrated ACD, which has some advanced call queuing. You can have what we call attendant consoles. So, if you've got somebody that sits at the front desk and handles all the calls for the entire organization, you can have a virtual receptionist console, which allows them to wear a headset like I have and answer all of the calls and digitally drop and drag calls over to people. So if a call comes in for Sarah, I answer it, I drag it over to Sarah, and it terminates to wherever she wants that call to go. Okay, and then it also has lots of integration touch points and consoles that you can utilize as well as an end user or as a BG admin. Now, as we move up the stack, if you will, from basic hosted PBX into what we're calling hosted unified communications, really the big feature that you get with that is the application itself that you can download on the desktop, on Apple computers, on iPhones, on Android devices, on tablets. It's the feature that we call MaxUC. So personally, in 9 years at Metaswitch, I've never had, owned, or had my number terminate to a physical handset that I can pick up and put down. I've always just worn the headset and then used this MaxUC application for the desktop, which you see on the screen here. Really what this allows me to do is I can navigate all of my contacts, I can initiate calls, I can terminate calls, calls ring on my computer. Pre-COVID, I used to travel up to 80% of my time, and I was never without my phone, regardless of what country I went to, whether it was New York or Indonesia. Okay, it worked just fine across any internet connected device. So it enables you to, again, control that user experience just like you would with a somewhat higher end prem-based phone system. So you can see that in the client itself, you can see all of your contacts, you can see their status, you can see green means they're online. It has the capability to integrate with Outlook and Office 365 so that you can pull in meeting status and see if people are scheduled to be in meetings. You can have business grade SMS, which is instant messaging and presence, and then you can also connect to the outside world so that people outside of your business, you can IM those folks as well, whether it's personal contacts or customers. Now, in addition to the desktop client, there is also the mobile client that, again, can be installed on any Apple or Android device, both phone and tablet. And this is a real great solution that kept people really connected throughout the pandemic as well, which gives you the same features and the same user experience as the desktop client, but again, in a more mobile fashion. So you still have access to PBX style features and functionality. So an in-call, a call in progress over on the left-hand side, you can add and transfer users to that call. So what we see is this progression here where if you've got Ben talking on the phone, you can click on favorites, your favorites pop up, and you can basically swipe people into the call from your favorites list, or you can just look them up as well if they're not in your favorites. Once they're in that call, you can return back to the call and see that you now have a three-way call in progress. So it's a really good user experience. Again, pretty seamless from a technical standpoint. it does seamless swapping from Wi-Fi to 5G and 4G networks if you need to. Case in point, you know, if I'm on a business call and I need to pick up the kids down the street from the bus stop for their school, I can take the call. I can move it over from my desktop client onto my mobile device. I can then walk out of my house. Once I get about 3 houses down, my call automatically swaps over from Wi-Fi onto my mobile network. And all the while, the person that I'm talking to never knows that I've since stood up from my desk, walked out of my house, and walked down the street. It's all a seamless, what we call, there's two features that we talk about there. One is what we call call jump, where I can jump the call from device to device, and then that failover from the Wi-Fi network to the mobile network. Now, if people are concerned with their data consumption, you can also train this through your settings to only be used on a Wi-Fi network if people are worried about their personal data plans. So if as an employer, you're asking your employees to use this service for business use, but you're not contributing to their calling plans, that's very easy to just configure this so that when they're in their house, they can utilize this over their Wi-Fi networks and not allow it to swap over to 5G or their cellular network if they're worried about their data plans. Now, as part of unified communications, we're really seeing another trend here, which is what we call this trend of integrations. And the first solution that MaxUC integrates with is your suite of Microsoft services. So either Outlook in a server-based environment or Office 365 in a subscription-based model. It works with both of those. So, you know, really what we get is what I like to call bidirectional integration. So we've got the integration to a point where we pull from Microsoft 365 into the MaxUC client and vice versa. So things like presence, if I get a call on any Max device and I answer that call, when somebody looks at my contact in Outlook, they can see that I'm in a call. And vice versa, if I have a meeting scheduled on my Outlook calendar and I need to, and somebody wants to call me, they can see that I'm scheduled to be in a meeting. So they can pop me an instant message and say, can you talk? And I can say, no, I'm presenting on Northland's call. You know, I'll get you when I'm finished. So it's that bidirectional integration that I like to talk about that allows presence to come in from both sources. Now, the other thing that it allows you to do is, as you can see from the screenshot down on the bottom there with Juan Esteban, you can look at Juan's contact in Outlook. You can click that little drop-down box next to the phone icon where their contact card is located, and then you can initiate a call directly from your Outlook or 365. And if you have any links like SIP URLs, your URIs that are available as hyperlinks, you can do that and initiate a call directly from those as well. So again, it provides that really good, what I call out-of-the-box integration. And when I say out-of-the-box, I mean that there's no additional charge that there's no additional feature for this Microsoft integration. It's really just a turn on or off capability that you have once you have instant messaging and presence. There's deeper integrations if you have specific CRM applications that you need to address or you would like to address. So if you want Screenpops into a custom application that you have, contact Northland, because we do have partners that provide an additional service that allows for deeper integrations with specific applications. One kind of out-of-the-box application that we have is for Screenpops with Salesforce, Sugar CRM, Microsoft Dynamics, all of those an administrator can configure as long as you have the MaxUC client. So if we look at this screen here, if you can see it over in the top left, when you go to your client and you basically, when you click on tools, you can go to tools and you can go to options, and under web applications, there's a CRM field, and there's a few that are pre-populated. So Sugar CRM, Salesforce, and Dynamics, I believe, are pre-populated. And basically what you would do as a business is you can just go ahead and click your CRM. And once you click that CRM, there's basically a thread that already exists in the platform, so that you can integrate that, so that when somebody calls you, you can get a screen pop that shows that dips into Salesforce and opens up Salesforce right away. So the way that looks is in the bottom right. When Al Henry calls, you can see that Al Henry has called, and you've got your active call window there with the red button. That's your what you call the MaxUC active call window. And what's happened is that when Al called you, a dip occurred into Salesforce, and his Salesforce information popped right up for that person that uses Salesforce. So once the call is complete, you're already there. You can type in a few notes. You can say, had a great call with Al. Follow up is XYZ, and it's already populated. Now, it's screen pops. We do have partners that'll do deeper level integrations if you ever need that as well. So contact Northland for that. And what I mean by deeper integrations is that it would actually log a call into Salesforce and not require the user to do anything. You can also initiate calls from within Salesforce with a deeper level of integration. Now, as we move kind of up the stack again from unified communications, the next thing we really get to is this collaboration and the sharing of web and video conferencing. And as we support the hybrid workforce, we have to consider every element that there is, right? From what we're doing today, which is more of like a small webinar, to what people do on a day-to-day basis, which is, in preparation for this call, Sarah and I had a couple calls where we just did, there was about 4 of us on the call where we shared our content, shared the draft slides. So that would be on the far left there, which is our UC solution that we utilize. We can jump right into these collaboration sessions, basically run a meeting where we can share video, we can share audio, we can share content, we can collaborate on slides. Those are more of the ad hoc meetings. You can either schedule those in advance when we set up a meeting, or if we're in a conversation and we say, you know what, let's just slide over into a collaboration session, you can uplift into that. Now, once you go from that kind of day-to-day use of collaboration into the second phase, which is, kind of a standalone solution, right? So if you don't want to buy the whole portfolio and you just want to buy conferencing, you can do that. Now, what we're on today, there's only a few of us on the call, or 20 or so, and this platform that we're on right now can actually scale up to 10,000 participants. So if you've got a shareholder call or an all-employee call, we have a full-featured webinar product, which is what we're on today. We're not using it to its full capacity, but that does scale up to 10,000 participants. So we've got kind of your day-to-day on-demand use and scheduling. You've got standalone conferencing if you needed it. You've got webinar. Now, when we look to support the hybrid workforce, when those employees that have said that they miss that interaction when they come in, this solution is great for supporting hybrid workforce, because you can have low cost conference room systems basically treated like an attendee. So if there's a low cost camera system that's in a huddle room or a meeting room, that person or persons, that group of people, can log in, and I can be here at my desk, and we can have that collaborative experience where 4 or 5 people will be in that huddle room, I'll be here, and Sarah will be in her home office, and we can all collaborate that way. And if you've got one of those larger, more expensive SIP connectors or H323 systems, this solution also connects to those as well. So, those systems can connect, and again, those would be the ones that have like cameras that follow you around, a little bit more functionality, that can sense who's talking, that kind of thing. So when we think about the hybrid workforce and what that really means, it means that we need to be flexible on how people communicate and collaborate and meet. That gives us the ability to have meeting rooms and then pull people into the meeting room as part of that same meeting, and not have to worry about how clumsy it can be to dial people in and only have them on audio. So again, the way Northland has packaged up is there's if you want to kind of upgrade your Business Unlimited experience into collaboration, there's a 10 attendee collaboration seat. So that basically means that anybody with this seat type can host a meeting for up to 10 people. Globally, the total average number of participants on a meeting is 2 point something. So you may think, oh, 10, that seems small, but really the normal is mostly on-demand meetings that only are one-on-one or two or three people. So 10 is a great number to start with. That can scale up to 100 or even going up to 500. And then there's a webinar option as well, like what we're on today, if you needed to have panelists and hosts and not allow people to talk. Now that you're 10 attendee in your meeting rooms, that's basically allowing everybody. There'll be a host of the meeting, but everybody can talk. Everybody can grab the conch and present if they want to at any given time. Now, kind of the last step up the ladder is once we have really identified, okay, we've got hosted, we've got unified communications, which is the client that gets added. We've got collaboration, which is the MaxUC meeting product. The next step up is if you have a call center, whether it's a small or a large call center, there's basically two solutions that are available to support that specific use case. And really, when we're talking about an in-house call center, really we're interested in things like call queuing, how long people are on hold, average wait time, just those simple things that turn it from a simple hunt group into a call center like application. So we have what's called integrated ACD, which is a Metaswitch provided solution that is, again, deployed in the network on the Metaswitch. It's a license service that Northland has from us. It supports up to 10 different IACD queues. There can be 64 agents per queue and 2 supervisors per queue as well. And it supports all of the main algorithms like ring all, round robin, sequential hunting, longest idle agent. And then it also provides the next aspect of it, which is reporting and wallboarding. So if you've got a monitor in a room with your agents, you can see kind of that real-time wallboard, which is wait time, callers in queue, how many of your agents are logged in right now, and some other metrics there. Now the reports, there's both canned and custom reports that are available. You can have them either on demand or have them mailed to you on a defined basis that you set up. Okay, so again, I think the biggest points of this slide are the first 3 bullets there, which are 64 agents, 2 supervisors, and really this is a inbound call center only solution, right? This is dealing with calls coming into your call center that hit the Metaswitch. Now, if you see those first 3 and you say, well, I've got more agents than that, or I need more supervisors than that, or I need a inbound and outbound, or I need chat functionality, there's a higher end solution for that that's basically broken out into 2 different types. It's the contact center and the web chat. So it's a what we call CCaaS solution, or Cloud Contact Center as a Service solution, and it's not provided by Metaswitch, but it is completely and fully integrated with Metaswitch and with Business Unlimited. It is called it's the Zima product, and again, it really boils down to, do you need agents that are that have more skills-based routing, that have that outbound or callback functionality, that has a little bit higher level historical reporting as well as wallboard displays. And then do you also need the web chat function? So again, what this means is, I had to go through this because my car literally broke and we couldn't use it, which was, that box that pops up when you're on a car dealership's webpage and it says, "Do you need help?" And that's what this service can power as well, which is that whole web chat or web agent functionality as well. Okay. Again, I think, to summarize, and I do thank everybody for their attention today, is, when we're thinking about the hybrid workforce, you know, two things come to mind, and it's really, number one, planning for the hybrid workforce in the future, which is a state where, as employers, we want employees to feel safe and be flexible enough to come into the office, but we also want them to feel connected when they need to work remotely whenever that need arises. And two, whatever we did in order to serve our employees during COVID, it's a great chance to reevaluate that right now, determine what the best option is for our employees moving forward, and then work with a partner like Northland to design a solution that's going to help us. If God forbid this flares back up and we need to go fully remote again and have that flexibility. So I'll hand it back over to Sarah, and again, thanks for allowing me the opportunity to talk to you all today about that.
Thanks, Brian. I didn't see any questions come through. So if anyone has any last minute questions, just throw them right into the chat. Or if Brian did such a great job at presenting and there are no questions, that's okay too. But yeah, I guess if there are no questions, I just wanted to thank you all again and Brian for joining us today and putting together that presentation. And if you do end up thinking about a question, reach out to us, connect@northland.net. But otherwise, have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.